Hello, everyone. It's Friday. Welcome to Chat with Mac. We're glad to have you, Nadeem. Sir, how are you?
Doing great. How you doing, Mac? How was your day?
I feel good. I feel good. I'm mending. I actually feel more energy now this week than I have in the last 5 months. So
Wow.
yeah, whatever they did and whatever was bothering me might have been a cause for a lot of just feeling drained. But I
Yeah.
feel great. I feel really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I was on the road, and that's why I'm kind of a little off. So, one of the things that we do is so I have an Android tablet in my truck as an aftermarket thing, and I configured my uh, an account on there, my Google account, and it requires a password. And you're driving down the road and everything is fine, and all of a sudden this stupid thing pops up and asks me for a password. Now, let me tell you this. On these Android tablets, they're portrait style tablets, and
Yep.
it's hard to type in those small letters
Yeah.
while you're driving. And it doesn't use, where you can swipe and type. It doesn't use that. It doesn't have a swipe keyboard on there. You have to type, you have to push individual letters. And I was almost ready to take that stupid tablet out of my dash, rip it out, and throw it out the window. And and then I started thinking you had told me about how Microsoft is going passwordless, and I was like, you know what,
Yes.
Google, you better straighten up your act because
Yeah.
man, I mean, in this day and age, if my computer can see me and log me in automatically, if my phone can do that,
Yeah.
why can't this Android tablet do that? Why can't Gmail do that? And then I started thinking about it and I was like, it can do that. I figured it out. So
Really?
not inherently within Google.
Okay.
However, what I figured out is you can federate Google with Azure Active Directory, which is the Active Directory that drives Office 365. So once you're logged into one service via any type of authentication, whether it's facial or fingerprint or whatever it is, it will seamlessly log you into the other services that are connected to it. So you can have your Google, your Yahoo, whatever other services that are supported, you can tie them into your Office 365 Azure AD, and then you just authenticate with Azure AD, and everything else is automatically authenticated. No more passwords, no more nothing. Now, the reason I talk about this is because Microsoft is taking it a step further.
Yes.
So in the old days, it was, okay, so you just authenticate with Azure AD, and now all of a sudden, all the associated applications you have authenticated with, it won't ask you for authentication again. However, what Microsoft is trying to do now is they're taking it a step further to where you don't even need to authenticate using a password with Azure AD. So you can use passwordless access. So you can have, for example, a USB key. And before I talk about that, let me just share this article that I had, and I brought it up just for our meeting. Let me see. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, Microsoft is trying to get away from passwords because inherently, in some way, shape, or form, passwords are the one thing that has led to so many breaches out there. That is still the one thing that the bad guys are using to breach your credentials, to siphon money out, and make all this stuff. So if you can do away with passwords and you can have some kind of a key, like an RSA key or a USB key or some other form of authentication, all of a sudden, it's not that 8 or 12 digit password that anybody can steal and log in and pretend to be you. Now it becomes very hard for somebody to steal that, because if your password is 12 characters, an RSA key is like 2048 characters. Nobody gonna remember that one. So So, we are kind of transitioning from password to multi-factor and then eventually to passwordless. And
I
once
don't
we
know
get
the
to that
last time I even
passwordless,
used my password, to be totally honest with you. I mean, it's crazy because a lot of, now, and it's funny when you were talking about what you were dealing with. I'm like, well, I thought because on my Android, I don't have a tablet, but on my phone, of course, they use biometrics. And now,
yeah,
I have the Microsoft Surface. And like you were saying, I look at it, it opens up. So it seemed like when when I saw the article and I sent it over, I'm like, it just made sense that this was the next progression,
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so a password is basically something that only you have. That's ultimately it. It has to be something that only you have that nobody else has. That could be an RSA key, it could be your facial structure, it could be a fingerprint, something that is, only you have possession of. It could be a retinal scan, which there are services out there using retinal scans now, which is, I mean, I don't know how somebody's going to do that. Try to fake that. I guess, poke somebody's eye out and take it with them, I guess. But
Some movie. There was a movie like that. I can't remember which. Demolition Man. That's it. Yeah.
oh, yeah, I don't even remember that, but I'll have to watch that now that you mention it. So, the thing is that, most small business or individuals are thinking, well, this is just a fancy whiz bang bleeding edge technology that Microsoft is trying to push out to customers and make available to enterprise, but it's really not. I mean, there's already around 200 million people using this service to get rid of having to type in their passwords. So this is not something that is going to go away. This is only going to gain more momentum as we get into this era of passwords being compromised and then
Mhm.
people taking on your identity. And then at the end of the day, a lot of money is changing hands because of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we've kind of worked around this limitation with something called Passly. So what
Yep.
we've done is we've had this one application. If you can authenticate to this one application, it can then authenticate to everything else. Office 365, your own Active Directory domain controllers, which could be your own servers, any kind of service out there, we can authenticate with that. Even like websites where normally you would have to type in your username and password, we can automatically authenticate, so
Yep.
you don't have
It's
to
awesome.
do that. It works great.
It works
One of
great.
the
Yeah.
other benefits to something like Passly is that it allows you to have shared passwords. What that means is, let's say you subscribe to a service and you only want to have one account because it costs so much, and you don't want to have 20 different people in your company have their own accounts because it costs so much per account. So you can have a shared password set up in Passly so all 20 of your users can authenticate and log into this web app without having to know that shared password. So now your account is secure. Nobody else has that password, but yet they can log in because Passly knows what that password is and it automatically authenticates them. And that is, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of implementation of that. I mean, even small companies are implementing things like that because, a small mom and pop shop, they don't have the budget to have 20 different accounts to their custom CRM system or their some kind of marketing system. They don't have the budget to have 20 different accounts or 5 different accounts even. They just have the one account and they're just sharing it. I mean, only
Mhm.
one user at a time is logging in. So if you can set this up within Passly or something like that, then it makes it so much easier and more secure. It's more secure because your end users now don't have the password, only you do, and they're
Awesome.
automatically authenticated in. So I think that's the future. I mean, it's been uh, there's been so many. I mean, just some of the numbers, and I'll just rattle off some numbers here. So have I been pwned, which a lot of enterprises use out there? They should not, but a lot of enterprises still use it. I advise against it, but it is what it is. They have tallied more than 613 million stolen passwords 613 million stolen passwords. That is crazy. That's just
nuts.
one service. That is just one service that tallies 613 million. And there's quite a few services out there that do this. So just, I mean, just think about that. It's just, it's astounding. It's hard to wrap your head around, so many
Yeah.
passwords. So passwords have to go. I mean, in this day and age, we have the technology to get rid of passwords, and I think we should just do it. That's what we do, try to do it ourselves. That's what we advise our customers. Get rid of passwords. That's the only way.
So let me ask you a question, Nadeem. That the RSA key, or the guy that was holding that little key, it reminds me of man, I forget what it was back in the day. Yeah, it's is that now outside of Passly, um, these kind of keys I don't personally think those are is that even safe, because you could lose that like really quickly. I mean, so
Right. So there's a couple of things. So I don't like it because it's another device that you have to carry.
yeah,
It's not, I mean, you think it's really small, it's easy to carry in my wallet. It's not. It's a pain in the rear, literally. It's because, I mean, if it's sitting in your wallet and you're sitting on that hip and it's going to keep that pressure on your hip, eventually you're going to run into issues,
yeah,
or it's going to make a hole in your car seat if you spend a lot of time in your car. So it's not as easy to carry this. However, the way it protects you is there is always another factor along with the key, the RSA key or the UB key in this case. Whatever key you're using, there's always an additional component to it. Think of it like this. In a multi-factor authentication scenario, if your password is one factor and your fingerprint or your facial ID is another factor, then it's the same thing with the UB key. Is your password is one factor and the UB key is a second factor for you, right? But like 10 years ago, that was the craze. I mean, if it was a high security situation, you had to
yep,
have your key. You can log in with your
yep,
key. All the high security enterprises, they had to have it. But
yep.
now it's going away because we can do second factor using an app on your phone. So you can use second factor authentication with an app on your phone. So if you can do that, now you don't need to carry an additional device because you're carrying your phone with you anywhere you go anyway. I mean, you can't do without your phone, so might as well use your phone as that second factor of authentication. And that's what is happening. However, I'm not saying that UB keys or RSA keys are going away anytime soon, because in certain enterprises, in certain organizations, agencies, it's not easy to bring in another device because a device has to go through certification, and it's such a drawn out process. You can't just bring another device in as an additional form of authentication. It has to go through some protocols and some certifications, and sometimes it can take years and a lot of money to get through those certifications. So, but I think the writing's on the wall that this is going to happen. We are going to start using our handhelds more and more to as a second form of authentication instead of the UB keys or the RSA keys or any other form of authentication. I think it's just going to happen. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but I've kind of wondered why people don't use, for example, I use Authy for a lot of my applications, especially since I'm deep do the crypto thing, and I think it's absolutely it's just easy. It comes up, it'll tell you, hey, yeah, it comes up, it tells you, like, this is the key, put it in, set, done, finished. Just like you're saying, it's just weird to me that it hasn't fully transitioned from where we are now to using, I'm not fond of Google Authenticator, but like that, or an Authy.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's what's happening now. It's just weird that it's taken this long,
Yeah. So it's taken this long. Not only that, but and like if you are going to implement your own RSA infrastructure for your own domain logins, that the cheapest package costs like around $50,000.
Oh wow,
it's not cheap. When you can get something like Authy or Passly or some kind of an authenticator for free. I mean, there's really, you don't have to spend any money. I mean, it's free. So all of a sudden the market just kind of moved, on its head, because this was, these companies, RSA specifically, made a ton of money selling those keys, and now all of a sudden it's like it's available for free. What do we do? How are you going to monetize it? Well, the only way you're going to monetize it, you're going to try to get people to pass laws that require RSA keys only, because they met a certain level of authentication, and then hope that nobody else spends the money to get their Authy or Passly or whatever app certified, so that RSA can keep, making that money. But yeah, that's what it boils down to. From a technical perspective, it's really nothing. And if all the people making the laws were technical enough, they would be like, well, an app like Authy or Passly or these kind of, or Google Authenticator even, these kind of apps are actually more secure and available to the public.
Yeah.
I mean, just certify them. I mean, even if they haven't asked for certification, just go ahead and certify them. Why not? They are more secure.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things, like, like in case of Google, it's not, I mean, what happens if Google all of a sudden, releases their algorithms or something like that happens, but that's unlikely to happen. I mean, that can happen with anything. I mean, people can lose their password and their second factor YubiKey or RSA key at the same time to the same person. It can happen. Probability is very low, but it can happen, right? But the thing is, passwords have to go no matter what, whether you're using RSA key or YubiKey or Authy or Passly or Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, doesn't matter. You got to get rid of passwords. Ultimately, that's where we need to get to. But anyway, so Mac, passwords are going away. It's only a matter of time. The writing's on the wall. It is a more secure way of authenticating without passwords, and it's just going to be the future. That's where we're headed. There's no question about that.
Awesome.
Yep. And this technology is becoming available to the small to medium sized business now. The companies, the small companies who could not afford $50,000 for their RSA infrastructure can very easily afford to pay $100 a month for Passly and get all their users authenticated with Passly.
Wow, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So I think on that note, we'll call it a day or call it a week. Mac, I am done.
I can tell.
I'm ready to turn in, and of course I got to get up early tomorrow because I got some things going on. But it's been a busy week, but I've enjoyed every little bit of it. I've had a blast.
Awesome.
So have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Mac, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Everybody have a good one.
Bye-bye.